Many of you know that I grew up in a very small rural community. I grew up with 2,000 people. There were 84 people in my graduating class. When I was a senior in high school, I had to have an emergency surgery. And in this tiny little town, we had a hospital, but our hospital was very limited. After hours and hours of waiting for lab work to come back, the hospital staff decided that I needed to have my appendix out. It sounds easy, get your appendix out, right? But it's not easy when you live in a little small town. We had a hospital, but we didn't have a doctor on staff. And if we had a doctor on staff, we did not have a surgical team. So what happened in this little small town when I needed to have surgery is that hospital goes outside of its hospital network to the surrounding communities and looks for a surgical team that can come into your rural hospital and give you a surgery. It sounds insane when I say it out loud, but this is what happens in rural America when it comes to healthcare. When you live way out in the boonies, hospitals are hours away. When you live way out in the boonies, people work in volunteer ambulance crews. So let's say I called 911 and said, hey, I'm having excruciating pain, send an ambulance. The volunteer crew in my town would have to leave their house. Each person leave their house, go to the ambulance station, gear up in their ambulance gear, jump in the ambulance, get it going, and then drive all the way to my house and do whatever they do and then drive me to the hospital. And then on top of it, you have to wait hours and hours and hours for a surgical team to come to your rescue. Now, a lot of you might think, oh, why wouldn't you just hop in an ambulance and go to the nearest city? It just doesn't work like that in rural communities. I simply had to have my appendix out, and it was this whole charade. And every single day, unfortunately, in rural America, there are rural farming accidents. I personally know somebody who was sucked into a manure spreader and basically chewed up his whole entire back, lost his right glute, and is somehow miraculously alive. But rural kids know these tragic stories. The whole reason why I'm telling you this long, drawn-out story is because the government is in a shutdown right now. And one of the things that Democrats are trying to hold on to is the funding for healthcare for rural communities. Republicans want to take $137 billion away from rural communities, healthcare and healthcare facilities. Rural communities need the facilities that they have that are already understaffed and too spread out. They need their health care. Now, you can be as Republican as you want to be, but me, being on the left, I am fighting for your rural community to continue to have health care. I was once a kid of a rural community, and I suffered in anguish only to have my appendix out. I was not in a life-altering farming accident. You guys, think this through. Call your senators. We do not want to give up $137 billion in healthcare to farming communities. Call your senators.